What is the difference between a program and a project when it comes to grant writing? In this video, I'm going to break down 3 key differences and why it matters for you. I'm Benjamin Dean from grantgating.com. I hope you enjoy this video and others like it on this channel aimed at helping you get more grants. So be sure to check out the free download here in the description. It'll give 7 additional tips on understanding the differences as you're writing and preparing these different grant applications with seemingly different definitions for items such as these. So let's dive into the 3 key differences, 3 most key differences. Number 1 is scope and duration. Okay. And so I'll go through these 3, and then as you read the other 7 in the download, you'll see that for the most part, this is going to be accurate. But there will be some what I've seen mostly corporate grant applications that use different terminology, more for-profit terminology, business terminology that may blend some of these with things like even initiative might be blended in. So the purpose here isn't to get dogmatic with a program has to mean this and a project has to mean this. What the more important thing is to be aware of variables. And these 3 things that I'm going to talk about are 3 of the primary variables that are involved in how you label or describe a set of things that you are doing, a set of services with a particular objective. Okay, so the first is the scope and the duration. A project is typically shorter term or short term. It is typically defined with an effort, and it has a clear beginning and a clear end. It's a project, okay? It starts and it ends, typically. It's designed to achieve a specific goal or a specific set of goals, or it's designed to address one very identifiable problem. Okay, a project might be implementing a new after-school tutoring program for 1 semester to address short-term literacy issues in a community. Okay, 1 intervention, it starts and it ends. You can measure before, you can measure after. It's a project. Okay, on the other hand, a program is typically more ongoing. It's something that may consist of multiple projects, multiple endeavors aimed at the same goal. A program doesn't necessarily have to have a fixed end date. It could be operated in perpetuity. You could think of a program as the umbrella under which various projects might exist. For example, your tutoring project might be part of a larger educational program that runs year-round and covers various educational needs, such as math, science, and literacy, as in the example. Okay, the program is typically larger, broader, and has more longer term or more downstream implications than a particular project. Okay, so that's scope and that is duration. The next is budget and resources. Projects usually have a set budget tied to their specific goals. This budget is typically directly tied to timeline as well. Once a project ends, the funding typically ends as well. You request funding based on the needs of that one-time effort. Programs, on the other hand, often require sustained funding. They need continuous resources because they're meant to address longer-term goals, or you could say outcomes, longer-term outcomes and impacts. When you're looking for grants for a program, you need to think more comprehensively of how you will sustain it financially over time. This might involve securing multiple grants or doing campaigns that build an endowment where you draw down on the endowment. Partnerships would also be a great direction to go if you're looking at sustained funding or sustained support in general for ongoing program activities. Okay. Number 3 is impact measurement. One of the most significant differences between projects and programs is how you measure its success. Projects tend to have very specific, very measurable, definable outcomes. For instance, if your project is aimed at improving literacy, you might measure success by the number of students whose reading levels did improved, or the percentage of change of students who improved year over year, time period over time period. Programs, however, will typically focus on broader, more long-term impacts. Your literacy program might aim to improve overall educational attainment in your community over many, many years. It could have many projects, and it could be something to the effect of a 10-year study on increased college acceptance rates out of the high school, or high school acceptance rates out of the grade schools, right, out of the elementary and middle schools. The impact is broader. It's harder to measure just definitionally than short term, but in the long run, programs are aiming at more transformative change, whereas projects are looking at quicker interventions. Okay, so why is this important to address these things? Well, we want to be clear as grant writers what we are saying, and we want to be clear that what we are saying is being interpreted in the way that we mean it to be interpreted. So this is not to say that the definitions that I've given, the general definitions, are accepted by everybody. They are not. So what this topic hopefully does is it brings your awareness into how you label things and how you describe what it is that you're doing. Okay, this gives you the variables to start to map things out maybe a little bit differently or a little bit more intentionally within your organization. If you looked at your organization and said, well, how many programs do we have given this definition? You might have said yesterday you have 7 programs running simultaneously in your organization. Now, given just these 3 variables, not the others in the download and potentially others that you could concoct, you might look at them and say, you know what, we really only have 3 main programs. Under those 3, we have a total of 4 additional projects that kind of fall underneath them. Okay, and it's not, moving cups for the sake of moving cups. It helps to have an organizational structure that you can speak to and that can speak back to you. So, another, sort of branch, or, branch is a good word, analogy is how we talk about things in nature, that there's a whole study of how things are named in every language so that we have something clear and common that we can all grasp. With nonprofits, with this sort of subset of work, there's not necessarily a glossary that everybody reads from. So we need to bring our awareness as grant writers into what the funder is asking and be sure that we can restate back to a funder what it is we think that they are asking for, we believe that they're asking for, in the way that we understand it with our lexicon as well. Okay, and it just helps to create more clarity and more cohesiveness overall in your grant applications. So check out the free download. It's got 7 additional key differences or things to think about when it comes to programs and projects. And in the comments below, if you have any questions or any struggles that you're having in naming or developing your hierarchy of organizational activities, pop that in there and I'd love to help. So thank you for jumping in, and I will see you in the next video.